4 and 3 and 2 and 1.
In the beginning, the universe was created. This has made a lot of people very angry and been widely regarded as a bad move.
You know, there's a lot going to happen this year, and we don't know what, when, or how, but it's the first time in a long time that we know a lot's going to happen. And today you're getting the Don't Panic radio show version of Skitty da Boom, Skitty da Bop Pop, Been a Fucker, Doo Pop Pop Pop. We all live in a yellow submarine.
I was going to say, you just got to demonetize. That's 2 videos now that I have demonetized. Well, before we get into any of that, though, if you like our show, you like our channel, like our content, if you like our faces or our voices, if you're out there in Podland, do us all a big favor. Hit that like, subscribe button. Hit that little bell icon so you get notified with every single video that we put out there. And that little bell icon also lets YouTube know that we exist. Feed that friggin' algorithm. Get down there in the comments and with this episode, get down in the comments in this episode and tell us how we're wrong. Just
feed the algorithm.
Get us engaged. Feed the algorithm.
Welcome to the Don't Panic Radio Show. I'm Steve Benson. That's Paul Schultz, and nothing you're about to hear is true.
I'll drink to that.
It's been a minute, and it's been a year. We haven't recorded this year yet. This is our first recording of the year. It's 2024. And I gotta say, it's almost cliche, like as you get to the end of a year, it's like, screw this year. I can't wait for this year to be over. Next year's got to be better, right? I got to say, this is the first time since I can remember that I'm 100% certain this year is going to be worse than last year. And that's saying a lot. Last year wasn't great, right? 2023 was not, like, if I lined up all the best years, it's sort of like global warming. Like 2023 was the hottest year on record. I'm pretty sure it's probably also, it's the hottest year in history. It's probably also the coolest year of the future, right?
Yeah,
like 2023 wasn't great. But I guarantee you 2024 is going to be worse.
Well, and let's hope not, because 2023 almost killed me, literally.
Well, on a personal level, it'll probably be better, right?
Yeah,
I'm talking about on a macro level.
More
of a macro level, the country, society, culture, the news. But sit back, relax, and ignore the news. Because the name of the show, folks, is Don't Panic. So we're here this week with your 2024 survival guide. We're going to get you through it, y'all. We'll be here with you every step of the way. And there are several things in the news. And in the news, the news isn't just the news anymore. The news is also, how does it affect me? I had a friend in college that used to say, I don't really pay attention to the news. And we're like, we'd be like, what do you think of what's going on in Eastern Europe and with the Soviet Union? And he's like, well, how does it affect me? I don't care. Why should I care if it doesn't affect me? And I'm like, you cannot in 2024 sit there and go, it doesn't affect me, because it affects everybody. I don't care who you are.
No, in fact, well, like with my dad, because my dad is when I say my dad's a news junkie, I mean he's reading a headlines news junkie,
right?
And for the pre-COVID, mind you, I had to tell him, I'm just like, look at this stuff and ask yourself, does this directly affect you? And again, this is that thing where like the child becomes the parent. It's like conversations I never thought I'd have with my parents. And I'm like, does this affect you? Well, no. Then don't worry about it. Well, now you honestly can't say that anymore.
It's true. Yeah,
like, damn, I mean, was he right then?
Somebody could say, well, rich people doesn't affect rich people, right? I'm like, Mark Zuckerberg's building a $271 million bunker in Hawaii in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. You know he's not doing that just because he like wants one, right? Dude's got a $500 million yacht, right? With his yacht has its own yacht. Like he's got a yacht. He's got a yacht that has a yacht that is only exists to support his yacht. All of that is just to say this. How are we going to get through this year? Because this occurred to me this morning. I don't know why it took this. Well, actually, I do know. Okay, so let's do a 2024 year in review.
What are we on the 10th?
I would have had a root canal on December 23rd. I'm sorry, December 27th, 2023, except my dentist was closed and I had to wait until they opened on January 2nd. And I went in for a root canal. So I had a toothache from December 27th through New Year's, everything. So that's like, I rung in the new year with a toothache. And you know the old movies where you got the thing wrapped around your head and they're sitting there going, oh,
yeah.
And, you know, I mean, if I had some string, we'd have been tying it to a doorknob, right? We'd have been like, and they don't pull teeth anymore. They do root canals.
Yeah, if you can afford them, they do root canals.
Yeah. They are pretty expensive unless you have insurance. Then it's still pretty expensive, but
yeah.
It's good to have insurance. Otherwise you get your tooth pulled.
Yeah.
But I did go into the it was hurting so bad I went to the emergency dentist. And I'm not afraid to say it. I'm a complete wimp when it comes to the dentist. I am scared. I hate it. I feel like I had dental trauma when I was a kid. I don't mean dental.
We had the same fucking dentist, dude. Yes, you did. You absolutely did.
Dr. Wesley, was that his name?
Yeah, we had because there was a couple times we met in the lobby. So yeah, we had the same dentist.
I remember holding like he's in there with the pliers, like pulling, and I got his hand, like trying to get him away from it. I was just like, was there not pain management back in the day? I don't even know. But so I'm sitting there in the emergency dentist, and they could manage this a little better, by the way. While I'm sitting there, I'm like, a few people are, a few friendly people were chatting. I was like, I got a bad tooth. Yeah, it's the last place I want to be today, or whatever. Yeah, okay. I'm hoping I get it taken care of. Like, oh, they get called in. They go in the back, and I'm sitting there, waiting. And then they come out, half an hour later going, oh, they're like stumbling out through the waiting room.
They're on a stretcher or gurney.
And that
he just went for a tooth.
3 times that happened. And I was just like, this ain't going to be me. I bet they don't have nitrous oxide here. And I was like, something came up at home. I got to go. Because I couldn't tell the lady at the front desk, I'm chickening out. I can't do this.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to sit. I'm going to have a toothache through New Year's because I ain't doing this. And actually, it turns out it's probably a good thing because I think the only thing the emergency dentist will do is pull it. Right? They won't do the root canal.
Right.
Probably. So,
right.
Anyway, that's been my year. Oh, and then I got a cold. I took a COVID test. It turns out I don't have COVID, but
yeah,
I did get a cold. If you can hear that.
Yeah. No, we closed out 2023 while you were in misery at the dentist. We were in misery with the flu.
Oh yeah, you guys had the flu.
I've reached that age now where like when they say, do you want a flu shot? I'm like, yeah, what else you got? Because that thing was horrifying. It pretty much would, and it's also part of the reason why we haven't recorded lately, because I was sick and then you had your tooth problem. So the 2023, it didn't end well.
It didn't end well. In 2024, okay, so there's already been a school shooting.
On the first day of school.
I'm pretty sure Biden's military has attacked Iran a few times. There's been some missiles out in the Red Sea. So there's already like there's a lot going on. All right. But here's the thing. Let's step through for a minute. So here's the format I was thinking of. Let's step through why I'm thinking 2024 is going to be a complete shit show. And then let's talk about how are we going to get through it. because we didn't have this. Like, if you think about 2020, I mean, Trump was president. We were already like, oh, this sucks. It's an election year, but we weren't. I didn't have the feeling like 2020 is going to be horrible, right?
Mm.
I mean, it started out weird because it started out with like killing that Iranian guy, and we all thought we were going to have World War III, but we didn't know COVID was going to happen. We didn't know there was going to be an insurrection. We didn't, we didn't know what 2020 was going to be.
Don't you mean friendly tourists touring, the capital?
Yes, that's what I meant.
Okay.
What did I say?
Oh, okay. All right.
But we know 2024. So like why? Why 2024? Well, first of all, there's a Republican primary, right? You got Nikki Haley and Ron DeSanctimonious, Ron Dos Santos, trying to get they're competing for second place, basically, right?
Basically, yes.
Trying to figure out either who's going to be the running mate or who's going to be the high-level appointee if Trump wins, or if Trump's in prison and somehow gets disqualified from being able to run, like one of them's going to be the nominee, right? So the first thing is, I remember back in 2015, 2016, I refused to pay attention to the Republican nomination events because I said, it doesn't matter to me. They get up there, Trump is just rolling everybody, and he is just making fun of people. It's all nonsense, right? So I've been taking the same approach with the Republican nomination process this time, because I'm like, Trump's going to be the nominee unless one of these court cases keeps him from being the nominee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's step one of me taking care of my mental health, me practicing self-care. It's like, I'm trying as much as I can not to pay attention to that. How about you? What are you doing? Are you paying attention to that process, or?
Honestly, no. One of the things I did, not by choice, but I've sort of distanced myself from things like TikTok and that kind of thing, because after a while, you know too much, and then my phone died, so I'm like, well, I guess I'm off of that. But no, I'm not paying any attention to it because it doesn't concern me.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't in a way, but it also does. It's just it's better not to. What are you gonna do? How is getting your dander up gonna help your mental health?
So that's
You just said, what you just said about who's gonna be the primary, who, all that, you've already predicted it. There's no point in paying attention to it.
Right. And then it's sort of like, let's say there's a sports ball game, and if one side wins, things are pretty much going to be like they are. It'll suck. Nothing's going to get any better. And, there's still a lot of work to do, right? If the other side wins, we live in a fascist dictatorship, right?
The cars get overturned, set on fire.
Yeah. So
that kind of thing.
If it's the first quarter and you can't really tell who's going to win in the first quarter, right, of the game, of the sports ball game, because it's too early, does it really help you to pay attention and to like really get into who's winning now, who's going to win next? I don't know. I don't think it does. So my survival guide recommendation is play like the general American public and try not to pay too much attention right now.
Yeah. It's not gonna not gonna do your mental health any good to sit there and speculate and worry and fret. It's just not. And you know how it's gonna play out. So why even bother?
Yeah.
You can
right.
get mad.
Yeah, Trump's gonna be the nominee. Look, Here's the problem with paying too close of attention to these court cases. They're not going to stop him from being the Republican nominee. And if he becomes the Republican nominee, these court cases aren't going to stop him from running for president, right? He will be the Republican nominee, and he will. No, this isn't going to stop him, right? Yeah. I totally think these cases need to proceed with all possible 100%. Speed, right?
100%.
Jack Smith needs to do his thing. Fani Willis needs to do her thing. Everybody, all the different ones need to do their thing, right? Keep them going. Keep going. But me paying real close attention to how it's going and hoping this happens or that happens, he could be convicted. He could be convicted and put in jail, and he could still be the Republican nominee.
Yep.
Plus, there's not a whole lot I can do either way. Like, if I find out, oh no, he's about to win this court case, I better go do something. Like, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
Right. So it's interesting, though. I will say, to the extent that it's interesting, go ahead and pay attention, because it is kind of interesting to, follow these court cases. Because a lot of what's going on is, legal stuff is kind of, if that's interesting to you, pay attention to it, whatever.
Yeah.
The other thing that is a source of stress for 2024 is like, out of all, there's 370 some million people in the United States. And the one person the Democrats were able to find to run against the most serious threat to democracy that we've seen in our lifetimes is 80-year-old Joe Biden, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is the guy we found, really? I will say this, like, okay, don't watch any of Joe Biden's speeches. That's the other, okay. Tip number 2, don't watch any of Joe Biden's speeches, because you don't need to watch his speeches. He will be the Democrat nominee, right? And he's the one that will beat Trump in the election. There ain't nobody else waiting in the wings. There's nobody, nobody's coming in to save us. He might die.
No like dark horse in the running.
Right. He might die because he's 80, but if he dies, it's all over.
Dude, he's old, rich, white people 80. He's true. Not gonna. He's got 15 years easy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Look at Jimmy Carter.
He'll probably outlive Jimmy Carter and Henry Kissinger combined, right? So
smash cut.
So don't worry about Joe Biden. There's another reason, like, just don't watch the stuff, and here's why. He will make you think that he can't win. But I will say what I said in 2020. Man has not lost an election since Nixon was still considered a decent person by more than half the country, right?
Yeah.
1972, I think, was the last time Joe Biden lost an election. Yep. And he hasn't lost one since. The man is on a winning streak. He knows how to win elections.
And exactly. And we're sitting here bemoaning the fact that this was the best they had to offer. But does it have to be him, though?
Well, right. I mean, we would all prefer others, like more, like he's center right at best. We would prefer at least center left or further left, right? We'd prefer a more progressive candidate.
Yeah.
And if we have to have a center right person, we'd prefer somebody who seems more stable on their feet and doesn't stumble over their words, right? So, but hey, you fight. It's like the American hero Dick Cheney said, or was it Rumsfeld?
I surrender.
Which one? You fight wars with the army you have, not the army you wish you had, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, again, we're not Joe Biden stands on this show, but we are anti-fascist. We are.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
We're also not accelerationists, because in leftist circles, you'll find people that say, might as well elect Trump so that we can get fascism, so that we can fight it and finally have the tipping point, burn it down and build something new. And I'm like, that's great. Sounds like something either somebody who has nothing else to lose, or a very privileged white person who is going to be safe through this whole process, right?
Somebody with $1 billion bunker in Hawaii, for instance.
Yeah. You feel like there's two different, and I've met both of these types of people. One is, and I won't argue with this first one, it's somebody who has nothing left to lose, and they lay it all out. And they're like, here's my life right now. You really think I believe it's going to get worse if we burn it all down? And I'm like, oh, yeah, not even, dude, you say whatever you want to say. But the other person who I will argue with is the privileged white person who's like, yeah, we got to burn it all down. Right. You're going to watch it on your 54-inch plasma TV, you know, in your suburban house. It's other people who are going to be suffering, right? And you're just hoping something better comes out of it, right? But you're going to be fine. All right, so don't worry about Joe Biden. He knows how to win. Which leads me to the next thing, which is very predictable. We talked at one point about making predictions for 2024. This is very predictable, by the way. Whatever happens in November, the Republicans, probably Trump, are going to claim fraud. They're going to claim widespread whatever, right? They're going to do basically the 2020 playbook, only they have been putting things in place since 2020 and going, boy, if we had put this in place before 2020, it would have worked out better, right? So they're putting those things in place now. The Republican, the state, GOP-led state legislatures have been putting things in place, and secretaries of state and that kind of thing. So Biden's going to have to win by an even more large margin to keep these guys from doing shenanigans. And so we're going to have that. That's going to be interesting to watch. It's going to be
the last time they pulled these shenanigans, it was definitely interesting to watch.
Yeah.
And so I think like you said, now it's 2.0.
This is the part like the first 3/4 of 2024. It's the best advice I have is just try not to pay too much attention, because it doesn't matter until you get there, right?
Yeah.
It's that part of it. Like once the election's been held and first of all, if the Republicans win, if Trump wins, fuck all, I don't know what's going to happen. He's going to go on a revenge tear, right? He's just going to, you know, the first time around, he actually put people around him who weren't necessarily good people, but some of them were just like, oh, I didn't really believe he would do this, so I'm not supporting that. But now the only people left are people who will do whatever he wants, right?
Yes.
So there's going to be this Project 2025 sort of purge that happens. They're going to try to arrest Biden. They're going to try to arrest Harris. They're going to try to arrest sitting members of Congress. They're just going to try to do all this stuff, right? So I don't even want to think about that. It's like one of those singularities. I don't even want to think about what's going to happen if Trump wins, right? But I got to spend some time thinking about that against my better wishes. Because I can't just say, well, I'll figure it out when we get there, right? Because it won't be good if that happens. So we got to kind of figure out, I don't know what advice to give people if Trump wins, right? But we can't wait until Trump wins to come up with a plan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't have anything right now. I do have a plan for if Biden wins, which is not much. Like there's not much to do other than hope. And I've seen signs from Biden that he is not naive, and he knows what Trump will do if Biden wins. He knows what Trump will do to try to, but Trump won't have the state apparatus. You know, he'll try to go to court. He'll try to get the state legislatures to do stuff. But ultimately, you know, if Biden wins the election, Biden wins the election, right? So I think it's about November that you got to start paying attention. I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing to remember is it took Rome a long time to fall, right? So It's not like overnight. Although, famous last words, right? Things could things this is why I say pay attention when we get in the November, December timeframe. Because things could change very quickly, and you may need a way to protect yourself, right? Especially if you're in a marginalized group, or you have a loved one who's in a marginalized group. You may need to have a plan for protection, right? All right, so where did we land? I think what we're saying is take care of your mental health by not paying too close of attention just yet. I don't think we're there yet.
All things in due time. There's plenty of time to worry about that shit later.
Yeah.
But right now, just, look back on 2023 and go, okay, well, how can I just chill for a while? Read a book, like, a work of fiction, watch some movies, nap. I can't stress that enough. Nap is a huge part of self-help and self-care. There's no point in worrying about it now.
I just heard somebody say the phrase doom scrolling the other day. I was like, I think doom scrolling started in 2020, and here we are in 2024 still doing that. I'm like,
yeah.
I can't get myself into that again. I can't. And I won't.
No, and honestly, my phone dying on me is one of the best things that ever happened to me, because I don't have easy access to the doom scrolling anymore. And I'm not saying that that's all I did, on social media, but the temptation is there, and the means to do it is there, right in your hand.
Right.
Now I got to go looking for trouble.
Yeah. You know what else? We'll let you know if you need to know anything. Don't worry that you're going to miss something.
Yeah.
We'll let you know.
Yeah, we'll let you know. We're looking out for you.
What did we learn today? I think what we learned is what language was that? Here's the bottom line. Look, we don't have the answers. We never have claimed to. In the 10 years we've been doing this show, love saying that. In the 9.5 years we've been doing this show, we have never claimed to have the answers. But here's what we will say. We'll be honest with you. We'll be open with you. Don't worry about Joe Biden. He's going to win this election, whoever he's running against, because the man doesn't know how to lose. And then, you know what? They'll deal with whatever nonsense the Republicans try to do to steal it back. One very important thing I want y'all to remember. This has been the Don't Panic Radio Show. I'm Steve Vinson. That's Paul Schultz, and nothing you just heard was true.
Boom, 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 boom.